Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers by real producers and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers. We are also powered by Top Producers Nation. You can check us out at topproducersnation.com and learn more about how to become a top producer in your desired markets. We have different programs to help you do that. But our guest today on the show is none other than a top producer here in the Tampa Bay market, Mr. Matt Lipinczyk. How you doing, brother?
Morning, Don. Good to see you, man.
I got the name right?
You did, my man. Thank you. Glad we went over that.
It was easy. I got that one good.
Yeah.
So, Matt, if he looks familiar, he was featured in our most recent issue of Tampa Bay Real Producers as a team leader. Matt represents the Agile Group Realty. That's the brokerage that the team works with. His group, though, his team is called the Apex Team. I like that name. It's like Apex Predators, you know? Wow. That's
We've heard that joke too.
I'm sure.
I mean, we get the jokes about that. We get the jokes about my last name. I mean, they just keep going.
And it's early. We're only 30 seconds in. But I got to meet Matt actually for the first time at an MVP social that we just had to kind of honor his feature and give them the gifts and the frames and all that fun stuff. So for people who might not know you that much yet, Matt, let's start a little bit with just your background and how you found yourself into Tampa and getting into the real estate game. So we'll start there. So let's did you grow up in Tampa? How'd you get here if not?
So first, let me just say thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Glad to be a part of this.
No doubt.
This with you guys and everything like that.
It's our pleasure.
So originally, I'm from Buffalo, New York. I grew up in Buffalo, south of Buffalo, in middle school and high school, in a place called Jamestown, New York. Mm-hmm. And then
we have a Buffalo Real Producers up there.
That's what we were talking about how many you guys have. That's why I was like, I do remember seeing it even in my hometown.
My buddy David Schwab runs it up in Buffalo. He does Buffalo and Rochester actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went to SUNY Cortland, which is a state school up in New York.
Yep.
I got my degree in teaching, elementary education actually. And then basically I graduated and moved down here. So I've been down here almost 19 years.
Okay. I
was actually a teacher for 12 years in the Hillsborough County Public School System.
Nice.
Also a coach. I mean, that's one of my big passions, is coaching basketball and baseball. And in the article they talk a little bit about, going from the classroom to the basketball court to the closing table. But, so I was, literally outside in the sweltering Florida heat teaching PE at a school that didn't have a covered court at the time. And, my best friend and business partner, Kyle Gruber, is, sending me text messages talking about, the sales and sending me pictures of paychecks, if we're honest, and being like,
so he was the first to become an agent.
He was, yeah. Yep. He started about a year and a half before me.
Okay.
We've been best friends since we were 11, though. So it kind of goes way back. We drove down here together and stuff like that when we came. I kind of did the teaching thing. He did a bunch of different things, kind of finding his path while I found mine. And then, basically our paths came back together when he was, sending me paychecks. And I was like, holy crap, it takes me, 3 months to make this as I'm dripping sweat, and things like that.
Yeah, we all know how hard teachers work and are definitely underpaid.
Yeah, for sure.
For what they do, for absolutely.
But again, and it's, we all have our own path. I wouldn't have changed anything. The other thing is my dad and my grandfather were in sales their whole life, very, very good at it. But, they were more of the encouraging.
Is that up in New York?
That was, more of the encouraging of like, hey, we did this, but we want you to have more security. We want you to have, benefits and insurance and retirement and all these other things. And I was like, okay. But, again, life happens, things happen for a reason. And so it kind of brought me all the way back. And then, so for the last... June of 2018 is when I got into real estate.
Okay.
So
what brought you to Florida? What made you pick this area?
Well, honestly, I'd never even been to Florida before I came here. A lot of people from New York come here to vacation and things like that. I actually had never been here. But I had some friends that were here.
Okay.
And especially one that was a good friend of mine. His wife was a teacher down here.
Okay.
And she's like, you're coming from New York, you're a male with a teaching degree, like you won't have a problem finding a job.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I need to get out of Buffalo. I need to get out of Western New York. We always joked about it. I mean, and you're from the Northeast, so like we always joked about it.
We know what the winters are like up there.
Yeah, exactly. October to April, we used to call it gray period.
Yeah.
You just don't see the sun for like 6 months. So
I
was like, I need some vitamin D. I need some energy. I need to get out of this place for a little while. And again, all my family's back there, so I still love it. It's still home.
Yeah.
I still visit a lot, but
Buffalo Bills fan? You part of the Bills Mafia?
So honestly, like, people get really mad at me for this. So I'm not. You know, I grew up. My grandfather was an original season ticket holder with the Bills.
Wow.
And I went to a lot of Bills games as a kid, but I'm actually a 49ers fan.
Oh, wow.
So I do get a lot of crap when I go out.
That must have started in what, the 80s with Montana?
Yes, exactly. See, yes.
Yep,
and back then, there weren't a lot of games on the TV. You know, you had like one game a week on the TV or Monday night.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, I kind of grew up like that. And
I get it. I'm a Giants fan. I grew up, like, you know, on the border of New York and Connecticut. So
I'm glad to hear that over the Patriots.
I would go to those Giants games. And back in those days, man, when they had some wars against your Niners back then in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the old Scott Norwood wide right.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Everyone knows about that in your neck of the woods.
I was with my family, and like they were all bawling. So it was like,
I was the opposite. I was pretty ecstatic.
You were ecstatic, of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
That was good memories. And that was actually here in Tampa.
Nice.
Way back in 1990 for you football fans out there.
Yeah, that's right.
So then you obviously had a buddy, it sounds like, who got into real estate, was making some cash, getting you jealous about how much he was earning, and you decided to just go after it. Now, did you dive into real estate full-time right from the get-go? Were you doing it part-time at first?
So, yeah. So, I mean, I kind of set it up like where I took the classes and stuff like that while I was still teaching, knowing that I was going to, you know, at the end of that school year, I knew I was going to stop like completely and resign from teaching. And so I did. I jumped right in. Last day of teaching, I think was a Friday, and on Monday I took the test, and Tuesday I was at the Agile group office making cold calls.
So your buddy was working with Agile at the time.
He was. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He's the only Agile is the only one that both of us have ever run with.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. And so that you said you got licensed what year?
2018.
Okay. So what was your first full year like? Matt, since one of the things I think you did well already was dive in full time, because a lot of people struggle with that. And, you know, if you're going to be in, go all in, right? Which sounds like you did.
Yep.
So if you remember that first full year for you, what were some of do you remember any of those numbers? What was it like for you?
You know, I mean, again, so like, you know, people know the market nowadays today and, you know, how it's been for the last year. And so I was lucky when I got in 2018.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little bit different. You know, we had a lot more, you know, advantages of
a little easier,
I guess you could. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But my first full year. So that 6 months from June to December, that 6 months, I think I did 14 sales and just around 4 million. And then my first full year, January to January, I did just over 10 million. And I think I did 38 or 40 that year as well. Nice. Which is similar to
what were some of your strategies that you implemented from the beginning? Were you all organic through your teaching network at all, or how did you get started?
Exactly. So that's, you know, that was the benefit of what, you know, my history was with teaching, is that, you know, my first personal client, self-generated client, was a teacher. You know, luckily for me, they put the trust in me, and they trust, you know, we had a great thing. We already had a good relationship, so she trusted me. And then I had great support, you know, with that. The other thing is, I was lucky when I got into Agile Group, is that, you know, they do have a partnership with Rocket Homes, who's under the umbrella of Rocket Mortgage.
Yep.
So we were getting pre-approved leads coming across, you know, just right away. So that was very helpful. Obviously, that's really what helped me build my business. And now, you know, obviously today, being 6 years later, those first couple of years, that lead source really helped me develop my business. And now it's still, you know, it's the repeat.
Is it still a lead source for you now?
For sure.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And then we have another personal relationship with the Apex team with a personal banker at Rocket Mortgage.
That sounds good. We're actually talking with Rocket Mortgage right now on more of a national scale to partner with a bunch of real producer markets across the country. So who knows where that might lead, but there's an ongoing conversation happening with that.
I hope that works out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So did you know, Matt, when you were getting things rolling, that your intent was to grow a team from the beginning, or did that evolve later?
Yeah, not one bit.
Yeah.
Not one bit. I'm still a little bit surprised that I ended up doing that. Because, again, I came from the teaching background. Like, I've never been, like, a business guy, you know, so the last year I've learned a lot, you know, a lot of business stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it until, you know, we started to grow. Like Agile Group, like my business partner Kyle was, I think, the 6th agent at Agile Group. They started out as like a boutique agency. I think I was the 21st agent, and now we're up to over 140.
Yep.
And so, you know, kind of just that natural progression and things like that. And our team leads, Matt Brookins and Jeff Bartolucci, have been awesome this whole time. And like, you know, they approached me and Kyle and are like, listen, you guys have been friends since you were 11. we think this could work out. I mean, obviously there's always a little bit of hesitancy where it's like, do I really want to be business partners with my best friend? I don't, you never know what can happen in business. But honestly,
tricky.
Yeah, but honestly, it's been a great year for us. It's brought us closer as friends. It's also, helped us grow as businessmen. And as
was this your first year working? It was when you started the team that you guys became business partners. Is that correct?
Correct. Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, we were always friends and,
Right.
Worked together and we were agents.
But your volume was always separate.
Correct.
Back then.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's even now we still do kind of keep the volume separate, obviously. And then we're all just under the umbrella of the team.
Yep.
But we still do, again, we both still do our own sales and things like that.
Yep.
But now we are together with everything.
Yep. And we featured Matt, did over about 40 transactions or so individually last year, over 17 million in personal volume. And so that's, if you guys know anything about what we do, the top 500 agents in Tampa Bay, just to be in that group, you would have had to do over 13 million to be in that group. And so that's obviously how we got connected to Matt and from the volume that you produced. And so this team that you had started with your buddy, the Apex team, was started last year, September, right?
September 1st, yeah, it was our
2023.
one year anniversary.
So basically, you just passed a year, right? And
Yep.
I think you mentioned earlier that your team now has 11 agents on it.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
How many did you have from day one? Like, how has that evolved this year?
I think day one we probably started out. So there was a couple agents that were already at Agile,
Sure.
where it was like, hey, we think they would be a good fit. They needed a little bit more support. They needed a little bit more of what we could offer with our lead source and things like that. And so we were like, let's take these guys on. There
Yep.
was a couple others that we brought in within that first month. So I mean, we really started that when we first started. I think we had like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Agents.
So now you're at 11.
Yep. Now we're at 11.
And now, what's it been like for you in terms of this balance of? I know you still do self-production, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you have some time spent on the recruiting side and supporting your existing agents and
Yeah.
coaching and developing. I don't know if there's team meetings involved with that, I would imagine. And then, just the recruiting alone could be a full-time job if you're depending on what approaches you're taking
For sure.
to make that happen. So has that been a challenge for you in terms of balancing both those sides?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, I've also always been really good with time management. Like, even in college, I mean, the school
Kind of have to be as a teacher, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. And when I was in college, I mean, jokingly but not jokingly, it's known as like the biggest party school in New York. So like, but I still graduated magna cum laude. Like I made a way to make it happen just because I was good with time management, like
Yep.
when to party, when to study, that kind of stuff. So I kind of look at it the same way with the business. It's like time management wise, like when and what should we be doing at a certain time, depending on what it is. If it is out recruiting, again, we're blessed with our team at Agile Group because they do some of that recruiting for us. Where our, Matt Brookins, our team lead, the lead of Agile Group, he's always out recruiting. That's his biggest thing right now.
Yep.
And so what he does is he'll bring them in and, he'll ask them, do you want to be a single agent? Are you looking for like a team setting? And so if they're looking for a team setting, that's when we then bring them in for an interview and that kind of stuff. But again, it's just...
How many teams are under Agile now? Do you know?
I feel like we've got to be around like 6.
There's that many?
Yeah.
And you guys are one of the 6 teams
Correct.
under the Agile
Yes.
brokerage.
Yeah, but some are like, if you want to call them a team, some of them only have 2 or 3
2 people. Yeah.
But then there's like our other good friends at the brokerage. They started their team. They've got about 14 agents.
Okay. What team is that?
That's the Spree Group with a couple of our friends, Shane Clark and Paul Farr. They've been
Sure,
at Agile
Shane.
for
I
a
know
while.
that. Okay.
Yeah, Shane was another top producer last year. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. He got me last year by a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But that's the other thing that's funny too is that, again, like I'm a very competitive person, obviously, with the coaching background and being, into sports. Every year I've been at Agile Group. Even my first year there, I've been a top 3 agent. Never been number 1. Number 2 4 times. Number 3 twice.
Has it always been different people at number 1, or is it been somebody that's just had you each year?
It's always been Shane, Paul, or Kyle, my business partner, or the other 2 guys.
I got you.
So shout out to you guys if you're watching right now because I'm giving you guys some love here.
You are. And we know Shane from For Real Producers last year as well, so shout out to you too. And so do you find the idea of the team building side of things even more fulfilling than what you do on the day-to-day and working with clients and in serving their needs, or do you find a difference between the two?
I mean, honestly, I think it supplements it. I think it like just builds upon what you're already doing when you meet those people. And again, with my coaching background, it's just natural for me. Like it does fulfill that. Like I've taken the last year or 2 off from coaching to kind of build the business, and then I'm divorced, and so I'm a single dad, taking care of my daughter 50-50, 60-40 sometimes if her mom's traveling and things like that. So that takes up a lot of my time. And that's when I go back to the time management stuff is that, like that's what it's all about. But it is fulfilling, and again, right now it's kind of filling that coaching void where, you're still able to, not only when you're selling homes, you're kind of educating and showing people the way and obviously helping them with the biggest purchase of their lives.
Yep.
But then on the team side, you're helping people that probably may have just gotten into the business, that don't know what they're doing, like when it comes to a lot of the ins and outs of real estate and, being able to help them and kind of guide them and hopefully, show them what you did to be successful and let them take on a piece of that. And that's what's great being with my, my business partner is that we do things differently a little bit. We've always both been very successful. I mean, when it comes to numbers and things like that and sales, but we do things differently. So a lot of times it's great for us to be able to like have, if they come with me on a ride along or if I go with them on a listing appointment, they get something from me and then they'll do the same thing with Kyle.
Sure.
And then they'll just be able to choose what works best for them. And that's kind of like how we've always been, me and him.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just have
Do you and him have like specific roles that you've identified as far as what his role in the team is, what your role in the team is? How did you guys figure that out?
Yeah. So again, like when we first started, like again, I go back to I didn't really want to do this or like have a huge desire to do it.
Yeah.
He really did. And we've kind of went from there. He's definitely taken the lead on all of the, X's and O's, if you will, like, the training stuff, like teaching them how to do a contract.
Yeah.
The systems that we use, like our different lead sources with realtor.com and Zillow and whatever else we use, just showing them the ins and outs on how we use that.
Mm-hmm.
Our CRM system, he takes the lead more on that stuff. He's supposed to be the first call. Like I always say, like call Kyle first. Mm-hmm. He definitely wants to do that. And he does that. He does that very well. Yeah. It wasn't like I just was like, you do that. Like it was more like, hey, like you're good at that stuff.
Yeah, we need somebody who's strong on the operational side of certain things, especially for any team to scale eventually.
Exactly. And I'm more to be the, I help. If they can't get a hold of him, they know they can always call me, and we do things, we do some trainings, we do some meetings in person and both of us lead those. What
is your kind of team support schedule look like? Is there a weekly team meeting? Is there anything that's concrete?
So we're more of like the theory of like, hey, we want to get you out there and get you into it. Cause that's basically how me and him kind of started to have success and how we learned. So we don't ever have we don't have a weekly meeting.
Okay.
Our brokerage has a weekly huddle, we call it, and so that is something that a lot of us jump on. That's led by, our team people at the brokerage.
Yep.
So that's one of those, and that is weekly. But then we do probably something once or twice a month. It'll just depend on where we're at or what's going on with hey, we've got this new lead source that we want to talk to about, or hey, we've got this lender that we're partnering with that we want to jump on with.
Yep.
So it's more of like
as needed.
Yeah, put you into the fire, learn. We're always gonna be here to support you. It's not like some of the bigger brokerages where it's like you're mandatory coming in to like do this and do that. Like we don't have any of that stuff. I mean, once in a while we'll have a mandatory meeting, but again, like we're just kind of more go with the flow kind of.
Is it in person generally when you do, or do you just utilize technology?
No, we do both for sure. And again, that is one thing that we like to do. And again, like that's something that we get from when we first started with Agile Group is like we're big on like kind of like celebrating our agents and things like that. So like if we do have an in-person meeting, and then we'll take them all out to happy hour, or like one of the things that we do for our agents, if they sell over $1 million in sales in a month, we take them out to anywhere they want to go and for dinner and things like that in Tampa.
Yep.
And that's something we just have brought over from Agile Group to something that we do. It's a great way to keep that camaraderie and just like show your agents and things like that. Like we truly do support you.
Yeah.
We're happy for you. We're ecstatic. We want you to be successful, just kind of show that support kind of thing.
Yeah. I was going to ask you from your experience so far, because we've had different levels, I would say, of team leaders on this show, right?
Sure.
Some that have been running teams for decades. Like there's certain names that I know have had teams for over 20 years that we've had, and then others that are within their first year even, or brand spanking new at building the team or whatever the case may be. And you're full year now of running the team side of things. Are there any specific best practices? You mentioned maybe a couple right there with like the $1 million plus.
Sure.
I mean, people love recognition. People love that. Free dinner just for doing their job well. That I think is a nice little tidbit there. Yep. Anything else that you feel like has been a best practice for you guys in supporting the team, finding the right people for the team? Anything relevant to that?
I mean, I think again, everything like I really think everything in this business is about relationships and about like who you, like networking and working with people. You know, kind of like what we talked about at the happy hour and things like that. Like building that network, but also like creating those relationships that truly like where your agents feel like you care. Like you said, like it's not like hey, we have a meeting on Tuesday. I'll see you at 10 o'clock. I'm going to sit in front of you. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you how to do this, and then we'll talk whenever.
Yeah,
we're more of like text you, call you, Zoom with you, be there for you, and really establish like not only just like the business relationship, but also just let you know that like we care about you, like as a friend, as a person, you know, and just kind of do that. Like to me, everything is about those relationships and building those relationships and making a connection with someone. Just like I talked about in the article with like my clients, you know, you find that connection. I feel the same way when it comes to our agents, where like we know more, like we know about their personal lives. Like we know like if they've got sons and daughters, and we understand like, hey, you've got to go to your kid's basketball game or whatever, you know, like, so just that to me, that relationship is probably the most important thing for me, especially because that's how I've always been with coaching and with, you know, teaching and with selling real estate, like building those relationships, but also letting people know that it's not just a business relationship or a transactional relationship, if you will. It's more about like, I truly want to grow as a person. I want to get to know you. I want you to have a great life. I want the best for you. I want to make sure you find the best house that's for you and your family. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can as an agent and as your team lead to help you become a successful agent.
What's the makeup of your team look like right now? As far as there's all different types of people? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We have, you know, we've got young agents that have just gotten into the business that are, you know, in their mid-20s. We've got others that are in their 40s. We've got now, I think we're up to 3 or 4 women of our 11 agents.
Okay.
We've got a couple other, and we've got an interview later today. We've got another interview next week.
Okay.
So again, we're trying to grow, but we don't, you know, we're like.
So you're not pigeonholed into one type, you know? Whatever,
no, I mean, we got to update our photo though, for sure. Our photo is just the guys. So we got to show
gotta get those women in there, man.
For sure. That's been a goal for us, for sure. You know. Hey, yeah, Peyton just joined.
Come in, Peyton.
She's our girl.
Thanks for joining us.
Just hired her. Good to see you, Peyton.
Peyton's on the team.
Yeah, she is for sure.
Go crush it, Peyton. Have a great first year.
She will. You know, you can tell. Like she's got the attitude.
One day you'll be on this show, Peyton. We'll get that going. Yes,
that's right.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think off camera, is your top producer right now, Josh?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, okay. Josh. You know, and again, Josh. I think he joined July 15th of last year, and has sold. I think after this month he'll have closed 30 deals.
Nice.
So I mean, again,
it's a solid first year.
Yeah, especially in this market, you know, and things like that. Like I tell him all the time, I'm like, listen, if you're doing what you're doing right now, when the market turns again, like because it always does, you know, like, and there'll be it'll ease, and you know, things will get better, and like that. I'm like, it's gonna be pretty easy for you. You know, what you've gone through the last 14 months, like. It's not been easy, and a lot of ups and downs, and interest rates.
It's a tough year for a brand new agent to start and have those types of results. So
and especially for him, I mean,
he's a hustler. You can tell.
He was never in sales, and he's from where we're from in New York, and he's been here for a year and a half. Doesn't have that. Like I was lucky, you know. I had the teaching background, I had the coaching background, I had all the people that I had made friends with already down here.
Yeah,
you know, he didn't have any of that. So a lot of his stuff is from the leads that we provide for him, and. He's just taking it and run with it. Do
you believe that as a team leader, when building an organization, the ability to provide leads and the different ways that you guys can do that, is that a really integral part in how you would and what you would promote as part of why be a part of your team? For sure. And that is kind of what we, me and Kyle talk about in interviews, is that we do have these different lead sources that we do invest in. And again, as we grow, we'll continue to invest. Yeah. But we are truly blessed, honestly, because of the relationship that we have with our preferred lender up in Detroit with Rocket Mortgage. I mean, that's something that no one else has. No one in Florida has that except the Apex team, and that's literally leads. So it's not just it's not even the brokerage; it's just your team. Correct. That's cool. Yeah. And so, I mean, our brokerage has a relationship, and they're going to try to figure out different ways. But we've had that since we implemented the team on September 1st of last year. How'd that happen? It was through the Rocket Mortgage, Rocket Homes connection that we had. Yeah. But again, when we started the team, me and Kyle are very tight with this
with our lender, Mike Brennan in Detroit. Yeah.
Oh, so it's Mike Brennan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's who I'm talking to.
Yeah. Well,
so you have to put a good word in there.
I will for sure.
So Mike
Don Hill's a good guy, you know, like we'll talk for sure.
My understanding is Mike actually is already in, like he wants to go forward, but he's trying to get other people on board to be able to work with us on multiple markets across the country.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Mike hears this, but shout out to you, Mike. So I've had multiple calls with him. He's a stand-up dude. He really enjoys our platform and wants to get involved.
Yeah, I mean we're so close with Mike that literally when we had our top producers, we actually Agile took us on a trip. We've been on a couple like all expense paid trips to Costa Rica.
Is Mike on there now too?
My man.
Come on, Mike, let's get this done, man. What are we waiting for? That's funny.
We're so excited. Like he surprised us. We were in Costa Rica. We get to Costa Rica with our guys from the team.
Yep.
Next thing you know, he pops out of nowhere. We're like, what the heck? So again, we go back a ways.
That's cool.
It's just a great relationship.
It's a small world.
It is a small world.
I knew he had a relationship with Agile. I didn't realize directly it was with you and the team over there. So that's cool.
And that's been a big part of our success and things like that. And his support. We've almost lost deals, and we get it to him, and he's able to save them, and just that kind of stuff.
That's key.
Yeah,
it's great to have good team members around you that can take you to the next level.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about, And again, it's like it's not just me and Kyle. It's the support that we get from Matt and Jeff at Agile and Nick, our broker. Like those people are always there. Like I do believe, obviously, I get calls daily, I get emails daily, I get mailers daily about people wanting me to go.
Want to recruit you?
Yeah, and I mean, again, I know that comes with the territory, but like, there's honestly never been a day where I was like, all right, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, there's never been an offer on the table or anything like that where it was like,
Well, I'm sure you've been offered like, lower commission splits or all those things which happen all the time. But I think, like you mentioned, it's the importance of the relationship, I think, is what people sometimes underestimate.
100%. 100%.
And I've heard many stories of agents who have made those decisions and left a good situation because of a low comp offer or whatever the case may be, making more on their splits. And they did, like you said, regretted it at the end of the day because like the support was non-existent. They felt like they didn't have a family anymore, So you just have to be really identify, in my opinion, like what is most important to you. And then when you found that good family, there's no real reason why you should be looking elsewhere.
Exactly. And that's how we feel there. It's like literally like brothers. Like, we hang out on the weekends, we go to our kids' sporting events,
That's
that
cool.
kind of stuff. We go to theme parks together. Like it's truly like a family over there.
Where's the vision take you guys for the team the rest of this year and going into next year? What gets you most excited about where you wanted to go?
I mean, the growth and just being able to, help new agents. Peyton, like she just jumped on there. We've got some great agents that we think are coming into it, and helping them grow and helping our business grow. And just, again, it's just like you can't ever be satisfied. Like that's what I used to tell my players all the time. Like, don't be sad. Like, hey, you dropped 30 and you had 30 points and 10 rebounds last night. But like, hey, don't be satisfied with that because tomorrow's another day. You need to come into practice and bust your ass again because it just doesn't happen. It happens from hard work.
Yep.
And so that's kind of like the same.
Do you feel like a lot of the stuff you learned as a coach is very applicable to the real estate world?
Yeah, for sure. Especially now in the team setting, like the coaching and the helping and, just being supportive and all that other stuff.
Totally.
Sure.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You said you coached, was it basketball and baseball?
Yeah. I coached at Berkeley Prep, which is a private school here. I coached there for 10 years.
Okay.
I did basketball for 10 years there, and I did baseball for about 7.
Nice.
And then I went to Wharton High School, a public high school up in New Tampa for 5 years, coaching basketball there with a local legend, Tommy Tonelli.
Cool.
Coached at USF. But yeah, it was great.
My boys are really getting into baseball now. We're up in Land O'Lakes playing the rec up there, but there's some kids that we played with on this past season that are already getting into travel ball, and it seems so early. My son's only 9.
So I'm very it's a very sensitive subject with me when it comes to that stuff because again, like I understand how things have moved in our society, really, like in the travel ball and all the other stuff. I mean, to me, dropping all that money for you to travel and lose your travel, you lose your weekends and lose your family.
It's a huge commitment.
It's
really
a huge commitment. And honestly, so I mean, I'm gonna give if you want to know, I'm gonna give you my quick point of view here.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead, Coach.
I really am not a huge fan of it because honestly, like when you play travel baseball, like you might play 5, 6, 7 games in 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
Like in what world is that real? Like, is that a real thing?
No.
You go to college,
Right.
You have a weekend.
Even the pros don't do that.
No, exactly, exactly, and they're grown and their muscles are fully developed. I mean, you got kids out there. This is why Tommy John surgery has become so prevalent in kids that are like 13, 14 years old. Like,
it's wild.
You got kids out here throwing curveballs and they're pitching 3 games in a weekend. There's pitch counts and there's this and that, but it's just not realistic. And basketball is the same way. Like, unfortunately, that's where like a lot of recruiting stuff like that.
In basketball, is it like the AAU circuit? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, exactly. And so like, it's the same type of thing. Like on the weekend, you're going for a tournament and you're playing 7, 8. If you're going to win the championship, you got to play 7, 8, 9 games in 2-3 days. And it's like, when you look at college basketball or like pro basketball or European basketball, like no one's playing games like that.
I know.
Really,
There's
like
something I saw somewhere. I don't know if it was a blog or a podcast or something, but it was comparing the difference between European culture when it comes to raising these kids. This was specifically about basketball. And then in the States, right? Like the differences between the two. And the biggest distinction was here, how, like you just said, how many games a week these kids are playing as part of this AAU circuit at a young age, which is absurd. And the amount of practices that they have is minimal. Right, so they might have 1 or 2 a week, and yet they're doing 8, 9 games.
Exactly.
Right, but in Europe, it's the exact opposite.
Exactly,
they're
focus on the fundamentals.
Doing like 9 to 10 practices
a
week.
They've got a program.
Right.
Like if you're like, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows like Real Madrid and like FC Barcelona, like all those like big soccer clubs. They have the same thing for basketball.
Yeah,
like you get into that club at 5, 6 years old, and you just work through the progression of it. And again, like you said, it's a lot more emphasis on fundamentals and practice. Like,
then you wonder why all these European guys are being top draft picks in the NBA.
Exactly.
They actually know the game.
I mean, look at
Jokic. They play a good team game.
Yeah, look at Jokic. Look at Doncic. I mean, probably 2 of the top 5 players in the league. Are European guys.
I think this year's draft, the first 3 players were all European picks, I believe.
Yep.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes sense. So I could talk sports with you. I feel like all day because I love sports.
Yeah, I know we could. I needed to get a little bit in there. I didn't want to go too far off the track, but
no, I get it. I think that's part of what we want to do in this show is just go wherever direction we want to go, man.
Love it.
I'm a big fan, and I do think there's a lot of, especially now, as you said, as a team leader, the skill sets that you pick up if you're a good coach and what it means to really get the best out of people. Because that's what a coach is supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's directly related to how you should be acting as a great team leader, as a real estate agent. It's really, like you said, about building the relationships, making sure that your teammates and your agents trust you so that they think that you're really out for their best interest, which hopefully is true.
Exactly.
And then if that's all true, you can then, there are certain leadership skill sets, usually starting with listening skills, that have to do, that can help them get to those next level and find their own blind spots and overcome the things that are holding them back. So I'm a big fan of it. In my Cutco game, that's what all I did for years. I recruited sales reps and had to help college kids overcome rejection and all of those fun times and sometimes hard conversations when they want to quit on themselves after getting a no.
Those are some of the hard, those are some of the toughest ones right there. Is
for sure.
Build them back up kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always interesting that you can believe in them more than they believe in themselves.
Right.
Every now and again.
Right.
But what matters is like hopefully getting them to a point where they can see it,
Absolutely.
Start to see the potential. So that is fun. I'll have to come speak at one of your team meetings sometime.
We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. I mean, if you want to bring the Cutco knives, you can too. I mean,
we still got a bunch of them at home, baby. We got the whole slew.
I might be a buyer. I mean,
I don't sell them anymore, but I probably got my rep number somewhere. I could dust it off to process a couple of order forms.
You can find me somebody
if need be. Yeah. So we're running out of time, but a couple of minutes I want to spend on for people to get to know you a little bit more on the personal side.
Sure.
You mentioned that you have a daughter. How old's your daughter now?
My daughter's 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
So she probably keeps you pretty busy.
Very busy. And
she involved in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, she's in that's. I really wanted to make sure when I did the article that we really highlighted that because again, that is my business, but like my family life and my daughter is like everything for me.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean I gotta take her to basketball practice tonight. She's got a game tomorrow.
She's an athlete, huh?
Very much so.
Nice.
Yeah, very much. I mean. She's very much. She's just getting into basketball.
Her favorite sport
right now. It is, but again, she's 7, so it changes all the time. And again, I'm big because as a coach, again, I'm big on playing multi-sports. And again, I'm not a big person. And again, you see this a lot in sports right now is all the specialization where it's kids at 9 years old are only playing one sport and traveling all the time for baseball. Right. But she's played softball, she's played soccer, she's in dance big time. She loves dance. She's done gymnastics. She's in basketball right now. So. Yeah, she keeps me on my toes. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it sounds like it.
I mean, 7 going on 17. You know.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters. My oldest is 9, but she.
So you know how it is.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. And she's more into dance than anything else. I've tried to get her into softball, but it hasn't been something she's been too excited about.
Where does she go to dance? By us?
American Dance Studio up on Dale Mabry.
Yeah, we're at Contempo right there on 54. I didn't know if you were over there.
Yeah, no, my wife.
Land Lakes guys.
My wife used to dance for the New York Jets for a couple of years up in when we lived up there.
Okay.
And so, but she's been in dance, teaching dance and being in dance since she was 4 years old. And
I'm gonna
I
hold
guess
back
she did a lot of research and found this American Dance Studio as
I've heard of it. It's good.
A school that
solid.
really brings like some professional dancers out of there. So
nice. Yeah,
it is what
I'm going to save the Brett Favre jokes with the dance.
She wasn't there in those years. She was there during the Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan years. Those were her two.
The butt fumble.
Yes, exactly right. She was there for the butt fumble year. Yeah. Actually, the 2 years the Jets actually made the AFC title game.
Yeah.
Those were the 2 years that she was on the team.
Nice. So maybe she was the reason they had success.
Exactly right. As soon as she left, the team went to hell. Yeah.
The funny thing is, my business partner Kyle Gruber, huge Jets fan. So I didn't want. I mean, if you want to ask him how Monday night went last week, we could.
That was a rough one.
Yeah,
that was a rough one.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully A-Raj will stay healthy, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, he's great for football. So I mean, I hope he definitely stays healthy.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll see. It's going to be an interesting year. There's a lot of high hopes for those Jets fans. I still listen to a lot of New York sports radio.
Right.
So.
Me too. I'm the same.
WFAN, baby. Fan. A couple of rapid fire questions.
Shoot.
So. Do you have a favorite book, author, seminar that has made an impact on you at all, professionally or personally?
I mean, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but coaching wise, again, the Coach K book, Leading from the Heart.
That's cool.
A really big one for me, and I read that years ago. I've read it again since then, and since I got into the business. It's just, again, it's life lesson stuff, but
Absolutely.
It's obviously tailored toward basketball, but there's so much in there that you can relate to the business like we've talked about.
Yeah, I like reading books that great coaches have written. I've read John Wooden's book.
Yeah, me too.
He's got multiple. The Game Plan for Life, I think, is one of them. I even read Urban Meyer had a book out there. What was it called? Across the Line or something like that, but it's got some great leadership principles in it.
Right, that's why I love it, because again, it's stuff that crosses over
without a doubt. Yeah, there's some stuff there. So cool. I haven't heard that recommendation yet, so I appreciate that. It's something different.
Yeah.
Do you have what's like one thing that you just love to do for fun? Might be sports related, I guess, based on this conversation. But what's one thing you love to do for fun when you're relaxing and just hanging with the fam?
I mean, yeah. So again, time with my daughter, just even if we're just taking a walk with the dog, or something like that. But just the thing that we love to do is definitely roller coasters and theme parks.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're in the right state for it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Love it.
Yep. Got those annual passes, I
For
take
sure.
it.
Busch Gardens annual pass. Yeah. Take advantage of that Florida discount thing at Disney. Yeah. All that stuff.
I get it.
Sure.
We've got the whole Hill clan there all the time. So I can really... How about favorite movie or TV show?
I've got a few. I mean, TV show... I'm going to show my age here and go back to Seinfeld.
Oh, dude.
I mean, The Office.
We got a lot in common, actually.
Seinfeld, The Office, Breaking Bad. I got a few of those.
Yeah.
Movie-wise, I mean, I'm all over the place with movies. I could give you a list of 30. I mean, I don't have a time. I mean, Gladiator.
Not one stands out, huh?
Yeah, I mean...
Gladiator is always a classic, though.
I mean, Seven is a really good one.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
Brad Pitt, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fight Club.
Yeah, I love a good one.
Brad Pitt classic, right?
For sure.
All right, so we'll end with this as we are slow on time. We'll have to have you back just to talk more about coaching. I think there's some value there. But
hey, whatever you need, I'm here.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I appreciate you being here today. So one day when you're sitting back on that rocking chair years from now, hopefully, and thinking about your legacy and what you'd want to be most remembered for, what do you think, Matt, would be the most important things that you would want to be most remembered for? Could be personally or professionally, but what would matter most to you?
That no matter where he got, no matter what happened, he didn't sacrifice who he truly was. He always really told it how it was and told it how it is. And, some people might not always like that, but he's okay with that because he's secure with himself and he understands that, there's some people that don't like certain opinions. He's going to stand on what he believes in, but he also was always a great coach and a great mentor, was always there for people. Again, I joke and we laugh with my friends and things like that. I'm one of the most loyal people you ever meet. So I really want that to be one of my legacies, is that one of the most loyal people. And again, not just with friends, but like in the business side, you know, my clients, and then my team.
Very cool. Sticking with those convictions, huh?
Trying.
I love it.
I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Too many people don't do that nowadays.
Exactly. Especially in this society and in today's day and age, you know, it's like
they do whatever is politically convenient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it was fun to have you here, man, and get to know you
awesome.
a little bit more for sure. For people who might not know you or just want to pick your brain a little bit more
For sure.
about your team, about, you know, what you guys got going on over there with Apex, what's the best way for someone to reach you?
Yeah, for sure. So my cell phone number is 813-727-1946. I'm a full-time realtor. I'll answer anytime as long as I'm awake. You know, that's what I tell my clients. Also, you know, we got Facebook page, the Apex team. We've got the Agile group, my Instagram, seller buy, I'm your guy. That's my little tagline. You can look that up. Obviously, you know, we have our website, different things like that. But yeah, if you ever want to get a hold of me personally, find me on socials or shoot me a text or give me a call.
Very cool, man. Shout out real quick to Matt Brookings and to Nick. Thank you for all your support too of our platform and everything that you guys have done to help the awareness get out there for Tampa Bay Real Producers. We're gonna finish the episode the way we always do, which is to a challenge to the audience. If you're watching any of the live streams on Facebook or YouTube, or you listen in on any of the 15 plus podcast platforms, whatever your favorite one might be, what is one action step that you can take today to be able to propel you forward personally or professionally based on the conversation that we just had with Matt? And we talked about a lot of different things, right? Maybe you're somebody who's thinking about opening a team and you might need to just have a conversation with someone like Matt who went through this just a year ago and has seen some great results early on building his team, right? And what are some lessons that were learned? We touched on a few of them today, but I'm sure there's more that you can get from having a conversation with somebody like Matt. Or, you know, maybe you are just something that he recommended in terms of the book he threw out there, or just whatever it may be. What is an action step that you can take that can propel you forward? One of it might be as simple as just clicking the subscribe button right now so that you can follow us on Tampa Bay Real Producers podcast, so you're notified every time we interview guests, which is every Friday morning here at our studio. So if you don't already subscribe, do that now, and that way we can see you in the future. But we'll put a bow on the episode by hopefully allowing you to identify that one challenge, find something that's going to help propel you forward, and if you do that, then the time you invested in listening and watching will make it worth it moving forward. So we'll see you on the next episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers podcast. See you later. Bye.